What is Michigan going to do this year? You know, it's felt to me like everything's been building to this for them. This is, if you love pro wrestling growing up like I do, this is their Astrodome. Okay, this is their WrestleMania 17. You can't just continue to ascend. There has to be a peak moment. There has to be a zenith. Now, we didn't know it that night in 2001 as little children watching WWE at the time, but it was. Rock versus Austin in the Astrodome. WrestleMania 17, that was the peak of the business. And terrible decisions were made that night. Well, anyway, with Michigan, is this that year? Is this the peak for them? And if it is, what more could you want? Like, what better combination of roster talent and coaching could you want? They've all built to this moment. What's the best case scenario for this team this year record-wise? It's 12-0. I'll answer it for you right now. The best case record-wise is 12-0. And make no mistake, I've heard some folks arguing about this out there. Can Michigan win a national championship? Yeah, they can. Yes, in the definitive, they can. Now, the reason some people say no is they think there's this formula, there's this combo of ingredients you need once you get in the playoffs to win a title, which is true. But that is conditioned based on year and based on who else is out there. What you see at Georgia right now, what you see at Bama, what do you see at Ohio State? I see varying degrees of questions. I don't know that there's an elite quarterback out there. So in other words, I also don't know how elite those rosters are. Now, it may very well be that come November, I sound different, and I'm watching Georgia play, or I'm watching Ohio State or Bama, or maybe I'm watching LSU, or maybe I'm watching FSU, and I'm saying, I don't think Michigan has the horses to deal with them. I'm not saying that the preseason. So the ceiling for this team, quarterback, check. Running back, check. Offensive line, two-time Joe Moore Award, check, and probably got some depth there as well. Defense is good. The pedigree is there. Everyone's been there, and they've done that. There's one more box to check. Two more. They need to win a playoff game and win a national title. Best case, 12-0 regular season. They win the Big Ten championship, and they go and do just that. What's the worst case for Michigan? The worst case is a huge compliment. I think their worst case this year is 9-3. I don't know that I've ever said that with Michigan. That is a massive and amazing elevation of a program to where your floor is 9 wins. But how would this happen? Well, if it did happen, you would have probably losses at Penn State and versus Ohio State, I would guess. And then there's one more loss in there somewhere. It would probably just mean the next gear that you hoped was there as a team, as a program, just wasn't there. Whatever you are capable of, you maxed it out last year, and then you rev the engine again this year. It kind of got close to or at that level again. But everybody gunned for you. Everyone had the crosshairs on your back. And you couldn't separate offensively maybe. Like maybe you got in some games where you needed to get margin and get distance on a team like, I don't know, Maryland. I don't know, just throw a team out there. And it was a random week and you couldn't do it. You go to Nebraska and Jeff Sims just goes off and you're not matching points and you're -3 turnovers that day. In the worst case of worlds, that's where you go 9-3. Hard to envision, but I would think 9-3 is worst case. What is the most likely record scenario for Michigan? 11-1. Super easy. 11-1 is the most likely for them, I think. It's tough to pick this team apart. The glaring weaknesses that you would look for to go 10-2 or 9-3, they're really not there. You have to beat them this year. Some folks are capable of it, but you're going to have to do it. I remember when they played Georgia in that semifinal game a couple of years ago. I think I showed you guys the picture. They got blown out, and I was standing on the field afterwards, and McCarthy, I think Donovan Edwards maybe, a lot of the kids in that true freshman class, a lot of the kids that were going to be back the next year, they're just standing off to the side. They're not looking to get on camera. They're standing off to the side, and they're just watching, the confetti rain down. They're watching Georgia celebrate. And that same group, that same nucleus I watched on that field a couple of years ago, they're coming back again this year. Came back last year, got closer. Come back this year, maybe they get the job done. It just feels like the moment for Michigan. I haven't made my championship picks. They literally could be my national championship pick. Have not ruled that out. Very high on Michigan this year.